Hi everyone, I'm redoing my final project here for the Culturally Responsive Library Project. Let's see, next slide. Alright, so I kind of did everything in charts because it was the easiest way to see everything, and I wanted to include every single topic and category. So the first is like how many gender-based books were there? So I found that there was 7 female to 6 male books, but most of the characters actually were non-human, so like dogs and cats and characters such as that. So there was actually 37 of those. So it was a big difference between those. And out of those, how many of those books included those categories as the main character? And 33 of them were females as the main character, and 4 were male. So that was a pretty big difference from how many there were non-human characters to, the non-human characters disappeared as main characters. Alright, so we're talking about race on this one. So on this one, the most of the books that I found on the library shelf is white predominantly, and then non-human. So, like I said, dogs, cats, and then trickles down Hispanic, Black and African, Asian, Native American, and Middle Eastern. And what I found was interesting is out of the 2 books about Native Americans, one of them was on Thanksgiving. So it had nothing to do with specific, traditions and cultures that, people of the Native American descent do or use the products. Nothing about that. It was about Thanksgiving. So I thought that was interesting. And on the main character side, 27 of them were white in the book, and then 11 actually ended up being non-human in this specific section. And then it would trickle down Hispanic, Black and African, Asian, and Native American and Middle Eastern kind of got individualized. So it got very squirrely when it came to like the main characters on that shelf. And how many books took place in this specific setting? So here I have down here on the left, that's going to be like your suburban setting, which 50% of the books on those shelves that I recorded were all in suburban living like settings. And then the next is rural, so like farmland and things like that, because we did have a lot of those non-human characters. And then last was urban, which was only 20%. So it kind of gives this interesting range, which it does match up very well to my students. And how many books include the following? So there is no books on that shelf about disabilities or the LGBTQ plus community. It was very strong in diverse family structure. There was 10 of those, and non-English primary books was 5. Books about economic struggle with families, 3, and then religion included 2. So this is a little wild. I'm just going to pinpoint the high ones here. Let me move me out of the way. There we go. So here you can see, kind of. So it's actually 12 students live in the desert. It's Arizona. It's going to happen. And then the next most was urban. So that urban setting was the most popular, common one, which I was surprised that there wasn't very many kids from the suburbs. But then again, I am in, Phoenix / Northern Scottsdale. So people tend to live on the outskirts of Scottsdale. That tends to be a little more deserty. We had no students in the rural area, no non-binary students or any students in the LGBTQ family. There were 7 females in my class and 5 males in my class. The primary of my class is Black and then Hispanic. So that was definitely interesting based on the demographics of the area. Did not match the preschool students that were in my class. And most of my students are religious, I kind of expected that. We are near a couple churches, so that is not super obscene for me. And then we have a lot of non-English primary speaking students, which we have 4 of those students are non-English primary speaking students. We're actually working with them to speak English, which is really interesting to teach your own language. Next one here. So these are the books that I reported on. And a lot of them, as you can see here, are all mostly um, non or fiction with characters, like non-human characters, and then it moves into, you know, some little bit more of a realistic animal book. But there are people in these books here, but it does give a good um, diverse reading. Once you like open it up or look at the back of it, they do have some nice learning points in each one of these books. And then like my thoughts on this, so the books didn't mirror my students, but they did offer a great window for my students because there were a lot of books on diversity and just keeping things just different in the classroom. So that was super great to see that. And these are my recommendations. They're super great books. I read them a couple times to really get an understanding of them. So Stella Brings a Family, because we don't have very many families that are in the LGBTQ family. So this is really interesting because Stella has 2 dads, and the whole setup is, she has like a Mother's Day party at her school, but she doesn't have a mom. She has 2 dads. So in order to fix it, she brings 2 dads with her. So that was super cute, super insightful, and it allows kids from the outside to see in as to what her family would look like. And then the red, like a crayon story, it's basically talking about diversity and like singling out somebody. It's okay to be different because you can see here it's a red sleeve, but it's blue. So, it's like you look like this on the outside, but on the inside you feel like this. That's kind of like, short version of that story there. And a family is a family is a family. So that is really great because it just shows the different types of family structures. Because my preschool does have very different structured families, but we don't have very many books in our classroom that really depict that. So it's kind of hard for my students to relate to that because they don't know what it looks like. Preschoolers really aren't engaging in those conversations just yet. So these books right here are great ways to start out in a preschool to help engage them with, categories they might not be familiar with. But yeah, that was a super great project. Glad I took this class, and I hope you guys enjoy it.